Hey everybody, welcome to the blog today. I've read this interesting article, and uh, we're gonna play both sides of my brain today because the title of the article was "Corporate Legal and IT Departments Agree to Disagree on Cybersecurity Preparedness." Now, this was a survey done by Legal Staffing and E-Discovery Solutions Providers Special Counsel, and they did a survey on data breach response, and it was actually it was a very fascinating read to determine or to see the differences between what lawyers think and what IT people think. Of course, I'm both, and so I can kind of sort of understand both sides of the coin here, but I'll go over a few of the findings, and one that was really fascinating, the last one, but we'll get to it. So the first one said that lawyers believe that there are 78% of corporate attorneys said that the organization was prepared, very prepared, or extremely prepared for a cyber breach. But 87% of the IT professionals said that they believe that their corporations were prepared. So the lawyers, 78%, IT professionals 87%. I mean, it's really interesting to see. It all depends on where your purview is. So I think IT professionals really believe that everything that they do, within their job functions are known by all. And so they feel like they're really prepared. Whereas, the attorneys that know people that has to deal with breaches, they recognize that they realize that they're not as prepared for the breach or the fallout from the breach from just from a legal perspective. So the purviews are different. The lawyers have to, once the breach happens, the people are actually trying to prevent the breach, maybe, and we'll get to the IT versus infosec. But IT people are preparing for the breach. Once the breach happens, they're responding to the breach, and then the legal hassle starts. So we're talking about forensic documentation of the case or investigations, possible litigation. So, what I think an attorney is means prepared for and what an IT professional is prepared for are completely different things. So their views are different based on, IT, or just saying, okay, so we'll know if the incident happens. Getting to that next point, um, 86% of IT respondents to this survey said that it would take their organization less than 3 days to detect and respond to a data breach. And then 63 attorneys said it would take their organizations longer than a business week to do the same. Now, this is a complete disconnect because information security people know, people in the security space know that the average time that it takes an organization to actually get aware of a breach or is 206 days. So the less than 3 days that the IT professionals believe, and the 206 days that's the average as of 2019, that's a complete disconnect. Even the week that the attorneys are thinking, that right there is a real disconnect because security people know that 206 days has been the average for years now. And then it takes even potentially up to 73 plus days to get it contained. So identifying the breach or identifying what's going on and then containing I mean, we're talking almost 300 days, and less than 3 days. The IT people think less than 3 days. And of course, we know ransomware, individuals that are at least in groups that are attacking these companies, they remain dormant between 5 and 7 days. And so you would think that ransomware wouldn't happen if these IT professionals were working for these organizations that think that it's less than 3 days for them to actually get wind of it. That is a complete disconnect between IT and legal, and a completely different purview than an information security professional. Of course, the difference being information security, cybersecurity, cyber operations, it's not IT. IT is usually defined as, availability, meaning the systems are up, they're going, and it could very well be that less than 3 days is about an availability issue. If they, some database went down or something like that, not necessarily thinking about a cybersecurity breach. I have yet to deal with a breach, um, that even when I was working in SecOps, that it took us less than 3 days to identify that that breach was happening. If anything, it'll take you less. It'll take you. You'll figure it out, and then now you got to do the investigation. The investigation takes much longer, to the tune of that 73 days. So that was interesting as well. Um, let's see. Oh, this was really interesting. IT professionals believe that the cost of a data breach is between 25 cents and $25 per record. And the lawyer says about $50 per record. Information security people know Poneman has been putting out that cost of a data breach report for a long time now, and it still averages about $242 per record. So that's how much it's going to cost you per record that you've actually been exposed. So I don't know if it's the IT professionals are thinking what they can go out in the market and purchase it for, meaning there are certain information out there that will cost 25 cents a record, but that's not how much it's going to cost the corporation to recover from a breach of that record. So I don't even know the 25 cents to $25 per record. I think that has more so to do with cyber criminals, how much the value that you can sell it for, as opposed to the value up to the corporation to recover from it. Because even if you're a public traded corporation, then you have FTCs coming in and all this other stuff. So the lawyer in me and the IT professional in me, I mean, I think lawyers are the lawyer in me are cynical to begin with. So a lot of things that we think about, the dollar amount is high anyway, but even the $50 per record is not close to the $242 it usually averages. I don't know what the thought process behind that was, but I think that that difference in IT versus infosec. I think if the corporations that were surveyed, and I don't know if they did, if they didn't, had chief information security officers, individual that's responsible for maintaining knowledge of these types of things, that the survey would have been quite different. But I some of the numbers, I was just goodness gracious, and of course, there's a lack of communication, right? IT and legal has never really spoke the same language. And I found that out throughout my career. And being able to speak both has its benefits, because you're able to translate what someone may be thinking from an IT perspective, maybe linearly, and then, the lawyer that's thinking, bigger or broader or more cynical or whatever that, and you're able to like sit in the middle of, I've been able to sit in the middle and kind of sort of translate what it is. And then there is a difference, as I said before, between the IT person and the information security person. And so having that information security person in your organization that's doing security awareness can help bridge that gap, right? Can say, okay, wait a minute, 25 cents a record, that's not even close to how much it's going to cost us if our personally, our database that we keep all our customer information in it, that includes, social security numbers, is now breached. It's that 25 cents, that's how much they may be able to sell it for on the dark web, but that's not how much it's going to cost the company to recover. And that's from the IT perspective, that's the lack of understanding from the business effect of the data, right? And how, what we do or what they're doing, to protect that data applies to the business, and what it will cost the business if that information got out. Now, the lawyers, of course, are looking at a completely different way. Lawyers are trained to protect the company. So from that, their view is, okay, it's broader. It's not just the cost of recovery of the IT systems. It's all the litigation that you have to deal with. So it's always fascinating to see how those two worlds merge, and how I've talked to IT people, and I've talked to legal people about the merging of the relationship between those two, just so you can get some translation in there and some understanding of what you're doing every day, and how that applies, to the overall business. So interesting enough, like I said, I continue to struggle to find things that don't have to do with the pandemic, but I have some interesting things between the differences of how working from home is affecting attorneys as and working from home is affecting IT people in a random thought for today. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. Would you know if you had a security breach? Would you know who to call if you had a security breach? Do you know your requirements by law to report when you have a security breach? Do you have a written incident response plan? If not, you may want to call us, the cybersecurity law firm of Texas, where we have incident response workshops where we walk our clients step by step through the creation of an incident response capability so you will know and you'll be able to respond. If you're interested, please go to our website and sign up for one of our sessions now. That's random thought for today. So I've been reading articles about the work from home scenario and how it's affecting attorneys as well as tech people, and it's very intriguing. As you read the articles, how this is playing out. So it seems like legal's biggest challenge is the mental health of their workforce and the lack of socialization with peers and things like that. And then you have with the tech challenges keeping up the pace that they may have had at work, right? So, granted, the tech article that I read was about Silicon Valley and uh, Uber, Facebook, Google, Apple, all those businesses that are out there that have built up these huge campuses, right? They've spent all this money with this brick and mortar. Never been one for brick and mortar, but brick and mortar, they offer all of these fringe benefits for their employees to come and work in the building. um, and so now everybody is not working in the building. Now the transitions for those companies probably wasn't that hard from a work from home perspective, but the culture was different, right? So and I've heard horror stories. I'm not in Silicon Valley, never been out there, don't have any desire to work in that type of environment, but they're sweatshops. For lack of a better word, you're burning at an extremely high rate, and you're going through and you're doing all of this stuff, and then now you're working from home where you have your children. And I'm in Generation X. I'm in that middle generation where I have school age children, but I also have a mother in her 60s. So taking care of the little ones and the older ones becomes a challenge as well. And with the outbreak affecting nursing homes the way it is, you have employees that may be taking care of their children and their parents, and now they're trying to work. And I was reading this article, and they was talking about some of the backlash, or trying to keep up the same pace when you have these, you know, um, other competing aspects of you for your attention. I mean, we see it in the news coverage, and the anchors are working from home, and you see all of this, and I think it's a good thing that we have to, at least we're going through this in a way that it assists individuals that have struggled for years. Because mommies, I'm an advocate for women and minorities, and mothers have been struggling for years to try to get that balance between how much time do I spend at the office and how much time, and being a bad mom or not being able to perform at home. And now they're merging together. And now if you have little ones, or, like I said, I have big kids, but you have little ones that you actually have to homeschool, and you have to manage that, and then you have the challenges of work. It has to be stressful. And it for everybody, whether that's legal and tech. The only thing about tech is that the transition as far as learning tools and things like that, collaboration tools and conference calls and things like that, that's not as new as whereas the legal profession, those are all new. So you're learning a new technology on top of trying to understand the communication that on these platforms and the proper etiquette and all these other things. So it's fascinating what we're going through right now. But I would say there I found out in my career that some employees are work better from home than others. I'm one of those employees that, you know what, I'm good working from home. I've been working from home for the majority of my career. There was only a couple of opportunities that I had that I went into an office environment because I felt that I was more effective because I didn't have the commuting hours, right? The commuting hours can be a complete drag, especially if you're in a high traffic type of region. Um, there are, those things that I have to remind myself, and these are the things that I want to tell you personally. Cut yourself a break. There's going to be an adjustment. Eventually, you will get it together, and you will find that sweet spot. And sometimes it's working off hours, and it doesn't matter. It matters that the work is getting done. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's done on at night or off hour. If you block off a certain amount of time and you say, okay, I can't do anything but teach my kids during this time, but you pull that, you're able to extend your day. And even sometimes what I used to do is carve out a couple of hours on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays in the morning when the kids are lounging around doing whatever, to get those extra things done. So cut yourself a break. It's okay. And tell your managers or whomever that it'll get done. The work will get done. It doesn't necessarily have to be done between this hour and this hour. So good luck out there. Stay sane out there, fam. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. Thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the cybersecurity law firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter at Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.